Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel. I am Zoe. Thank you so much for listening today. Life unfolds with a deceptive steadiness until, without warning, it fractures. Loss enters like an uninvited storm, sweeping through ordinary days with sudden violence. One moment, the world appears certain and generous. The next, something essential is gone. A person, a dream, the future once imagined. In the hollow that follows, the air grows thick with disbelief. Familiar comforts blur, and meaning itself seems to scatter. It is in this fragile space that grief takes form. Not as a single emotion, but as a landscape vast and shifting, where sorrow, confusion, and longing intertwine. Society often greets this landscape with impatience. Phrases such as "time heals all wounds" or "stay strong" attempt to bind the boundless, to organize pain into neat compartments of endurance. Yet grief resists such reduction. It bends time, unsettles logic, and lingers far beyond expectation. To experience loss is to confront the raw truth that life cannot always be managed by reason. Pain is not a problem to solve, but a presence to accompany. Understanding this marks the beginning of healing, not as recovery, but as transformation. The initial encounter with grief often resembles being pulled underwater. Ordinary acts, eating, speaking, sleeping, lose their rhythm. Silence feels heavier than sound. Days blur together, punctuated by sudden waves of memory that crash without warning. In this disoriented state, the world appears both distant and uncomfortably close. The simplest tasks require courage. Even breathing feels deliberate. Despite its intensity, this early paralysis is not failure, but evidence of love's magnitude. Still, cultural expectations rarely allow such stillness. Well-meaning voices urge quick return to normalcy, mistaking motion for progress. The pressure to move on becomes another burden, deepening isolation. Yet grief, when denied, does not disappear, it retreats inward, hardening into quiet despair. Allowing it space to breathe becomes an act of mercy. Recognizing the fog for what it is, a natural reaction to rupture, grants permission to pause. In the stillness, one can begin to observe grief's texture: numbness, anger, yearning, disbelief. Naming these states without judgment opens a small path through the fog. Writing, art, or simple reflection can serve as companions in this stage. Expression transforms chaos into coherence, not by erasing pain, but by giving it shape. As the initial shock fades, grief enters dialogue with the world around it. Friends and family attempt comfort, yet often their words, though sincere, misfire. Phrases meant to soothe, "He's in a better place," "At least she lived a long life," or "Everything happens for a reason," can feel like walls rather than bridges. They protect the speaker from discomfort, while leaving the grieving more alone. Such responses reflect society's broader unease with vulnerability. Suffering reminds others of their own fragility. Thus, they try to tidy it, to make it less threatening. Yet genuine support does not arrive in tidy phrases. It arrives in presence. Listening without correction, sitting without advice, acknowledging without analysis. These simple gestures restore dignity to the mourner's experience. True empathy recognizes that loss cannot be solved, only witnessed. Compassion, then, becomes an act of humility, the willingness to stand beside pain without needing to control it. This kind of presence heals not through explanation, but through recognition. It says, "You are seen in your sorrow," and that seeing is enough. With time, a subtle distinction emerges between pain and suffering. Pain is the body's honest cry to loss, the ache of absence, the echo of love unmet. Suffering, however, is pain entangled with resistance, the shoulds, the comparisons, the internal accusations that insist one should be further along. Pain belongs to love. Suffering belongs to expectation. Modern culture, bound by metrics and milestones, imposes timetables on healing. 6 months to smile again, 1 year to celebrate, 2 years to forget. But hearts do not conform to calendars. The pressure to meet these invisible deadlines often deepens anguish, convincing mourners that their grief is abnormal. Yet there is no abnormal way to love, and grief is love's shadow. When pain is approached gently, acknowledged rather than resisted, it begins to change form. The sharpness softens, memories shift from torment to tribute. Acceptance, in this sense, does not mean agreement with loss. It means ceasing to fight what has already happened. By making space for pain, one reduces suffering. This surrender is not defeat, but wisdom, an understanding that life continues, not through forgetting, but through integration. Contemporary language around grief is littered with convenient myths. The most popular, the 5 stages of grief, suggests a linear process from denial to acceptance, as though the heart follows a map. In truth, grief moves like weather, unpredictable, cyclical, and often contradictory. A person may experience anger one day, calm the next, despair by evening, and brief laughter by dawn. None of these states invalidate the others. Together, they form grief's full horizon. Another myth insists that time heals. Time may dull the edges, but it does not mend by itself. Healing arises from the work done within time, the gradual re-engagement with life, the small choices toward meaning, the courage to remember without collapsing. Likewise, the notion that every loss carries a hidden gift can wound as much as it comforts. To demand gratitude before sorrow has spoken is to silence what is sacred. Dispelling these myths frees grief to unfold honestly. It allows space for each person's distinct rhythm, honoring individuality over prescription. Healing, then, becomes a creative act, a process of crafting personal rituals, telling stories, and shaping new forms of remembrance. In the months and years that follow loss, grief evolves. It no longer floods every moment, but it remains like an undercurrent beneath the surface of ordinary life. The task is not to banish it, but to coexist with it. To live beside grief is to acknowledge its continued presence without letting it dictate every breath. Joy begins to return, often unexpectedly, a song half remembered, a taste once shared, sunlight on a quiet afternoon. These moments can stir guilt, as if happiness betrays memory. Yet joy does not cancel love, it honors it. The capacity to feel pleasure again testifies not to forgetfulness, but to endurance. Grief and joy are not rivals, they are twin expressions of the same devotion. Rituals help maintain this balance. Lighting a candle, keeping a photograph visible, speaking the name of the lost during gatherings all serve as gentle affirmations that love persists. Over time, grief transforms from a wound into a scar, visible, sensitive, but no longer raw. It becomes part of identity, an invisible teacher shaping compassion. Over time, grief transforms from a wound into a scar, visible, sensitive, but no longer raw. The instinct to fix pain must yield to the discipline of listening. Words like, "How are you?" may need replacement with, "What is today like for you?" A question that invites honesty rather than performance. Small, concrete gestures often mean more than grand speeches. Preparing a meal, offering childcare, sending a simple message weeks after the funeral when the crowds have thinned. The truest help adapts to the mourner's rhythm rather than imposing one. It respects the silences, accepts withdrawal, and returns gently without demand. Companionship of this kind reshapes relationships. It teaches that empathy is not emotional charity, but mutual recognition. Those who give it often find their own lives deepened, their capacity for tenderness expanded. Grief, shared honestly, becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. Healing's daily practice is built from ordinary acts. Breath anchors the body when emotion overwhelms. Slow inhalations and long exhalations remind the nervous system of safety. Writing externalizes the unspeakable, transforming thought into shape. Movement, whether walking, gardening, or simply stretching, returns vitality to a body burdened by stillness. Sleep, often elusive, requires ritual care, dim light, quiet space, and compassion for restless nights. Nature provides grounding. Its cycles of decay and renewal mirror the mourner's own. Simple objects, a stone from a shared walk, a flower pressed in a journal, become symbols of continuity. These small practices accumulate strength. None erase grief, but each affirms life's persistence. In grief's solitude, community becomes medicine. Broad sympathy offers comfort, but deep connection offers healing. Support groups, spiritual gatherings, or creative circles provide spaces where sorrow can be spoken without defense. Within such environments, individuals rediscover belonging through shared language. Yet discernment matters. Not every space nurtures, some drain. The healthiest communities respect complexity, allowing contradictions, laughter beside tears, silence beside speech. In these circles, grief becomes collective wisdom, teaching that loss is not a private failure, but a universal condition. Communities that normalize mourning cultivate compassion beyond their boundaries. When loss is acknowledged openly, society itself grows kinder. Public rituals, memorials, art displays, shared vigils extend empathy into culture, turning private ache into collective understanding. Healing does not restore what was lost. It reshapes what remains. To imagine recovery as return is to misunderstand the process entirely. Life after loss is not back to normal, but forward into difference. It is a reconstruction of meaning, built upon both memory and change. In this reconstruction, contradiction abounds. Sorrow coexists with gratitude, despair with renewal. Days of calm alternate with days of collapse. Progress is not linear, but spiral, revisiting old pain from new vantage points. With each turn, understanding deepens. The ache becomes less an enemy than a reminder of connection. Healing, then, is not erasure, but integration. It welcomes loss into the fabric of identity, recognizing that love continues to shape life beyond presence. Through this integration, individuals emerge not unscarred, but expanded, their empathy widened to include the full range of human experience. Although each grief is singular, its patterns resonate across circumstance. The end of a career, the fading of friendship, the death of a pet, all awaken the same essential fracture, the severing of attachment. The scale may differ, but the essence remains the same, the heart adjusting to absence. This universality invites solidarity. By acknowledging that pain exists on a continuum rather than a hierarchy, connection deepens. Shared stories become a language of recognition, revealing how loss, in its many forms, unites rather than divides. Artists often translate this truth through creation. Music, painting, and writing transform private sorrow into public beauty, allowing others to find themselves within. Art, in this sense, is not escape, but communion, a way of saying what ordinary speech cannot. Across cultures, grief takes countless shapes. Some traditions wail in public, releasing anguish through sound. Others bow in silence, expressing respect through restraint. In Mexico, bright altars honor the dead with food and flowers. In Japan, floating lanterns carry remembrance downriver. In Africa, drum beats accompany lament, merging rhythm with release. Each ritual, though distinct, fulfills the same human need to witness loss collectively. Borrowing from these global practices enriches personal healing, reminding mourners that sorrow transcends borders. By integrating symbolic gestures, light, music, or shared meals, grievers reclaim connection with humanity itself. Periods of doubt inevitably punctuate the journey. Questions surface. Is this normal? Should I feel better by now? Comparison to others? Timelines only sharpens insecurity. Yet grief follows its own clock, responding not to logic but to love's measure. Progress may appear invisible. Often, it is simply subtle, an easier breath, a day without tears, a moment of curiosity about the future. Professional guidance can help when despair hardens or isolation deepens. The most effective counselors are companions rather than directors, those who walk beside, not ahead. Therapy, when grounded in respect for individual pace, becomes less prescription than partnership, a mirror for self-understanding. Joy re-enters quietly, often mistaken for betrayal. It appears in laughter that feels foreign, in pleasure tinted with guilt. Yet joy is not the opposite of grief. It is its evolution. To experience delight after devastation is to affirm that love still moves within. Moments of levity serve as testimony to resilience. They do not negate loss, but testify to the heart's ability to hold opposites. Joy, when welcomed, transforms memory from wound to celebration. It becomes a form of reverence, honoring what was by fully engaging with what remains. Healing requires self-compassion as much as external support. The grieving must learn to forgive lapses, irritability, and fatigue, recognizing these not as flaws, but as signs of endurance. Inner dialogue softens when framed with gentleness. This is difficult, and I am doing my best. Boundaries safeguard this compassion. Declining social events, requesting solitude, or limiting conversations about the loss are acts of self-preservation, not avoidance. Clear communication helps others understand the rhythm of mourning, reducing misunderstanding. Over time, these boundaries evolve into balance, allowing both connection and autonomy. As seasons pass, grief settles into the rhythm of life. Anniversaries, holidays, and sudden reminders still stir ache, yet they also affirm continuity. Rituals once painful become occasions for gratitude. Memories once unbearable become treasured stories. As seasons pass, grief settles into the rhythm of life. Anniversaries, holidays, and sudden reminders still stir ache, yet they also affirm continuity. Rituals once painful become occasions for gratitude. Memories once unbearable become treasured stories. This integration marks not an end, but a deepening. Love once confined to presence extends into legacy. The departed live through influence, values shared, kindness inspired, art created in their memory. Loss becomes teacher, guiding empathy and perspective. In this mature phase, individuals recognize that life's beauty and fragility are inseparable. Awareness of impermanence sharpens appreciation, inspiring a gentler approach to both self and others. Grief, once a wound, becomes wisdom. Collectively, understanding grief reshapes culture itself. When society honors sorrow as part of the human condition, it cultivates compassion at every level. workplaces that respect mourning, communities that hold space for ritual, and friendships that allow vulnerability. Recognizing loss as universal breaks the silence that isolates. It transforms grief from private suffering into shared humanity. In such a culture, healing ceases to be a race toward happiness and becomes a journey toward wholeness. The coexistence of ache and joy, emptiness and meaning, reflects the complexity of life itself. The journey through grief does not end with closure, but with coexistence. Pain softens into remembrance. Sorrow folds into gratitude. The heart learns to carry what cannot be fixed, discovering strength not in forgetting, but in continuing. Loss alters every life it touches, yet within that alteration lies expansion, the ability to endure heartbreak, to remain open amid uncertainty, and to find beauty even in absence. These are the quiet triumphs of the grieving. Grief, in the end, is not merely the shadow of love, but its final expression. It teaches that to have loved deeply is to remain changed forever. From that truth arises not despair, but reverence for the fragility of existence, the persistence of memory, and the unending capacity of the human heart to begin again.